Hi everyone, I'm Rishabh Bevi and I was a student of the 2-year Pinnacle program at FITGI. So the reason I joined FITGI was because I had seen seniors from my old school move into the integrated programs and they had a high opinion of it. And ultimately they passed JEE with flying colors. That was one of the reasons which motivated me to take FITGI for my 2-year preparation. So I was interested in science and math probably from maybe my first or second standard. So I used to write the whatever exams came up in our school related to science and math, and I generally enjoyed these subjects. And it came as a natural choice in 11th grade that I would take JEE. Initially, I was going to join the 9th grade, but then COVID happened and it got pushed to the 11th grade and I joined the integrated program there. When it comes to the classroom environment, there's always someone in the class who is very good at a particular topic who can help you out. So there's always the progression of a doubt. Say if someone in the class gets a doubt, they'll first ask the person next to them. Then if they don't get it, they're going to ask the people surrounding, and ultimately someone in the class is going to get the answer. And if someone in the class does not get the answer, we go to the teachers who are always very helpful in clarifying our doubts. Throughout the preparation, our teachers have searched up things that help us, found definitions, clarified contradictions, say with NCERT. And it's been a journey definitely that's been supported by our teachers throughout. So there's definitely a whole chain of support we have when it comes to our JEE preparation. Our friends, our teachers who form the basis of our environment while we are in FITGI. So a couple of concepts, say which are not strictly in the JEE syllabus but can help us for some questions. Some of our classmates will be knowing more about that than us. So in my case, one of my classmates was very interested in math and Olympiad level math, and he found out about a concept called homothety. So that's a concept which is basically based on zooming a plane about a point. That concept does not seem very useful when it comes to JEE math, but there are some questions where these concepts can be really useful. And whether or not they are useful in a particular JEE question, they help us see a whole new perspective. And then there's another concept, eigenvalues in matrices, which again is not strictly in the JEE syllabus, but learning it has helped us for some questions, even for some JEE questions. So things like this have made all the difference throughout our preparation. So in the starting of 11th, when I met the students who'd already been in FITGI for 2 years, 9th and 10th, there's always the feeling that they know more than me. Will I be able to do it? Am I where I want to be? So these feelings happen to everyone, and initially I didn't think that I would be able to get to the level that some of my classmates were at, but slowly we see that over time we're able to develop our concepts, strengthen what we do, and clarify our doubts. One of the most important things is clarifying our doubts, because sometimes we feel that people will think less of us if we ask doubts, but the reality is that the more doubts we ask, the more we learn and the more we help people around us learn. This makes all the difference when it comes to our JEE preparation. We can't be shying away from asking doubts just because we feel that people will think less of us. Another thing that I faced problems with, which probably most JEE students will face problems with, is of course inorganic chemistry. That's something that we cannot avoid, and for me it was probably harder than a lot of other people, because I think a fair comparison is to compare it to SST in 10th grade. If I told you my SST marks, you would probably laugh at me, and so that was sort of the challenge that I had to surmount to get to a certain level in inorganic. So the thing that my chemistry teacher always told us is, we might have a certain mental block. We might believe we cannot remember all this information. So much is there in the NCERT book, so much is there in our class notes. How are we going to remember all of this? But ultimately, it comes down to what work we put in, what time we give to it, because something we all would have heard is that JEE in JEE, chemistry is going to be the subject which gives us the easiest marks. So we put in the effort for chemistry before the exam. We reap the rewards during the exam, and we ultimately benefit after the exam. When it comes to utilizing our free time and say social media, something that a lot of people say is get off social media during these 2 years. Personally, I was still using Instagram and watching YouTube during my preparation. The thing is, anything which we do has to be done in moderation. We can't be, using time that we should have spent studying to do anything else. As long as we have that self-control, as long as we have that discipline to control how much time we spend on these activities, it should be fine to do anything. Whether it comes to extracurricular activities, whether it comes to say basketball, say playing a musical instrument, say singing, whatever it is. Because ultimately it's these extracurricular activities that give us the strength and the mental capacity to put time into studying and solving problems. For example, personally, I played guitar throughout these 2 years, and there was even culturals in our school. I participated in those culturals. I don't think that this is something we should be stopped from doing in these 2 years, because when I went for these cultures, I did end up missing maybe 1 or 2 classes, but we can always catch up to it. It's not a be all and end all situation where if we do this, we will 100% not get into IIT. That's sort of the misconception maybe that I had too before going into JEE, that we will have zero free time, that we will have no extracurricular activities that we can do. The 2 years are just going to be completely studying, not doing anything else. So, and speaking of misconceptions, I think something that we all thought, including myself, including all of my friends who've gone through JEE, something that we've thought is that JEE is something that's unattainable. It's something that getting a top rank is something that, I don't know, people from another planet do, something that we can't achieve. And I had this thought too before starting my JEE preparation, but the more we go through it, I think the more we see that it's about the hard work that we put into it rather than a test of our intelligence. Because getting a good rank in JEE is about playing the JEE game and winning. Playing the JEE game means to not necessarily to solve all of the hard questions, because each paper, like say there are papers like 2016 or 2022 which are hyped as being the hardest JEE papers of all time. But when you look through these papers, you're still going to find a whole bunch of easy questions, a whole bunch of medium questions. And playing the JEE game means finding those easy and medium questions, solving them in as little time as possible. It does not mean not solving the hard questions, but giving us more time to solve the hard questions by solving the easier and medium questions in lesser time. There's also the conception that to get a top rank, you have to be someone who performs very well in Olympiads, someone who has qualified for an Olympiad camp. That is true for some people in the top ranks who have qualified for Olympiads, who have qualified for camp. But this is not really a prerequisite if you want to be in the top whatever rank that you want. Something that I realized is that when it comes to physics, there are some really hard questions. Like towards the end, I understood that I could not solve like the really hard questions when it came to physics, and that's something that I had to deal with. Throughout the preparation, we will get hard questions. We will learn to solve those hard questions. But when it comes to, like, say, the last month before JEE, perhaps there are some of you watching this in your last month of JEE, and there's not much we can do for those very hard questions at this point of time. If you're watching it at an earlier stage, there is the possibility of building up your skill of solving the really hard questions. But at a later stage, it's better to focus on the easier and medium questions. Make sure that you get a at least say 90% of them correctly, you need to have really good accuracy and really good time management when it comes to those kinds of questions. And that's what playing the JEE game, I think, means to me. There's a feeling that we all get when we start our preparation that will I get there? Will I do it? And it'll continue towards the end of our preparation, say till the last 2 days before JEE Advanced. Even I was feeling pretty nervous around 2 or 3 days before, but something that's probably personal to each of us is to figure out a way to calm down. For me, it was listening to music, playing sports. Whatever helps us get into the zone, whatever helps us unlock that mindset that we need to get into the JEE mode, if you want to call it that, that's going to help us in the end, because we've put in the effort. You've put in your 2 years, your 4 years, whatever it was, and ultimately we need to deliver in those 6 hours. So we need to make those 6 hours count. That means, like say for me, it meant while we went to the exam center, it was pretty far from my house, so it meant it was a pretty long drive. So to calm myself down, I ended up listening to music, and that really helped me personally, and it helped me get into the mood. Think that this is just like any of the say 100 other exams that I've written in the past 2 years. So that mindset of this is just another exam is pretty important. It's not this is the be all and end all of my life. If I don't do this, I can't do anything else. We need to get into that mindset. We need to get into the zone. And I think once we figure that out, the JEE mood is pretty achievable at the end of all of this. To conclude, I'd like to thank my teachers, my faculty who've stood with us throughout these 2 years, who've helped us whenever there was a problem, whenever there was a contradiction, whenever there was a question we couldn't solve. They're always our first resource, the people we depend on. Whatever time it is, whatever day of the week it is, they've always been there to help us. And I can't value their support enough. And of course, there is the support that we get from our peer group, our family, and the support that FITGI provides through the material. All of these are invaluable and will make a huge difference in our preparation. To my juniors, I would say enjoy the process, because once we enjoy the process, it's not going to feel like work. The circumstances of how we may have gotten, whether by choice or not, that's something we can't control, but making the best of it is something that we can control. So finding what we want to do, finding the parts we like, while not giving up everything that makes us happy, I think that is what is important and what will get us a JEE rank. Thank you.